Well, not necessarily, except in your interpretation. I think there is a distinction that others draw. But let me come back to this issue of violence, because that's critical. Quite understandably and rightly, you condemn what you call state violence, but you equally emphatically and unequivocally condemn the Maoists when they butcher someone like Francis Induwar, or when they assume the power to be judge, jury, and prosecutor in a multitude of cases. You condemn them equally.
Look, I think that this equivalence is a stupid thing, and violence is not the issue.
Isn't that a catch-up to definitely?
No, it's not, because I do condemn anybody, whether it's a Maoist or whether it's a state, anybody who kills a person in custody, I condemn.
So do you condemn the killing of Francis Induwar?
Absolutely, I condemn it. I do not approve of it. I don't think anybody in the right senses would. However, as I said, what I think or don't think and these moral positions are not the point. I mean, of course, all of us are very, very uncomfortable with violence, but there it is. It's happening. And why? The point is why? Why don't we ask why?
The why we know. The why we know.
Who should the poor go to?
The why we know, because
court?
you've explained it. You've explained it in part one as the conflation between democracy and free market policies, which is leading to the subjugation and the repression and the exploitation of the poor. The question is, what do you do about it? You've said just earlier this week that a military solution to the Maoist struggle is not an option, it's not the solution. What then is the solution?
I think the solution is to understand that the state needs to regain faith. I mean, it needs to woo the poor again.
How?
And it cannot be done over a weekend.
I'll say how. How do you set about wooing the poor?
I think, for example, the first thing would be to pull back the army and to stop this nonsense about Air Force will fire in self-defense and all that.
So no military operation,
no military
even
operation.
if it includes just police and paramilitary?
No.
Okay.
I would say that is going to provoke a situation.
What's the second thing?
Then I would say that, for example, and let me give you an example. For example, you should come out with all the MOUs that you've signed for all this mineral wealth, which is really the key issue. I mean, just the bauxite in Orissa is worth 4 trillion. That's with 12 zeros.
You really believe that the dispossessed poor in Orissa would be concerned about the MOUs signed by the government of India? They're not aware of them?
Are you joking? They're not aware of them. They know it better than you or me. They know that this is what I would say. Come clean. Tell us what the MOUs are. Tell us what the companies involved are.
After coming clean, what's the next stage? Next
stage is, for example, on the 12th of October, there was supposed to be a public hearing, for example, in Luhandigura where Tata is setting up a steel factory. In the name of Operation Green Hunt, there were barriers that prevented people going there and expressing what they had to say, their approval or disagreement.
So you're saying let people express themselves, let them voice their dissent.
Let them voice their dissent. Let them be at these public hearings, make all these MOUs public, remove your army, and then let's see what happens.
If the government were prepared, I don't know if they are, but if they were prepared to take your advice, would you in return go to people like the Maoists or anyone else that you have influence with and say, it now behoves you to also abjure violence? If the government's reaching out with one hand, you must return with the other.
See,
will you take that step?
I mean, if you're talking about me as an individual, I'm nobody. But I'm sure there are people who would take that step. It has been done before. I'm sure that in the interest of the future of this country, I think all of us are concerned.
But you're saying also that the initiative, the first step has to be from the government.
I think so. I think there should be unconditional talks.
In which case, my last question, how do you see the situation developing?
Well, my fear is, Karan, that because of its economic interests, the government and the establishment actually needs a war. It needs to militarize. And for that, it needs an enemy. And so, in a way, what the Muslims were to the BJP, the Maoists are to the Congress. And once you've created this enemy that you're going to go after, there's going to be a lot of violence. That's how, for example, mining corporations have worked historically.
So you see a greater potential for violence and bloodshed?
Well, unless we can get together and stop it, which we must, a military solution will destroy us.
A military solution will destroy us. Arundhati Roy, a pleasure talking to you.